Hello, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Benazir Khan, aka Khan Bibi. Um, Actually, this has been going on way before there was Facebook and other types of social media, and even way before the internet has even been established and everything. But actually, this is no laughing matter. This is something that is very serious and has been going on for God knows when. And a lot of people, who even was like in, like any type of mental hospital has been forever stigmatized, even if they have been in there once. Um, and it's uh, just extremely horrible that about what has been going on and everything. And actually, a lot of people don't understand, and it's just like it's just like, and you just actually need to know these things because there are lots of um, horrible, horrible abuses in that goes on in mental hospitals, and and I want to address these issues because it has happened to me when I was like in my late teens to early 20s. Um, and it's just like one thing when you first go into these places, especially state run psychiatric institutions. Um, just beware, you are given a piece of paper explaining what your rights are, and one of them is like, and it always gets violated, is your right to refuse medications. I mean, I have to say, there's times, at times, um, that one that I was in, but like several times, um, always violated my right about to refuse medications. I mean, and especially just after medication time had came around, it was like time to pass the meds around and everything else like that. The next thing you know, if there is a nurse that does not like you, you are just freaking screwed. I mean, it's just like, and like, and they would do this too, and it's just like, because it had happened to me, that it's just like, I explained this to the stupid nurse. I just had my medication, and they wanted to sit there and they want to overdose me. And they will overdose you on a QT, especially if they don't like you. And if if it's just like, one thing, sadly, I mean, it's just like, one thing is just like, because they will, because I had went through it. I mean that if you want to take medicine. I mean, I'm saying if they tell you, you know, you got to take this medicine, and you know, medication time has already came and gone already, and you know, this is just like, and I told them, I said, look, I said, I've already sit there and I took my medication already. Why do you want to sit there? You want to give me a dose, another dose, and she was Filipino, and actually I forgot what her name is, but then again, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to name drop the institutions or whatever, because a lot of them, they're not going to like what I say anyway. So um these mental hospitals are just terrible, and there really are terrible places. I mean, it's just like a lot of people, they sit there, they lose their minds and everything else like that because, just like me, a lot of them have went through abuse, and it's just like it's by no fault of their own. And here again, they're being victimized just by the system, and it really sucks. And this stupid nurse told me, you either take this or we'll call security on you. I'm like, what for? And it's just like, and then I mean, it's just like, one thing, and when they call security on you, they will sit there and they will tie you down in restraints and everything else like that and give you a shot. And this is just like in um you know on this is just like, and on top of that, I mean, once you're in the doors, and then and everything, if you don't sign a 5-day release to get out of there, you're just stuck in there. And you have to just, I don't know if it's changed or not, but I know this is just like, this is just like, I know like a lot of mental hospitals has been closing down and everything else like that, and now people are ended up, even if they got a mental uh, illness, that they end up in jail by no fault of their own, which is really disgusting. And then it's just like, and I mean, it's just like I'm watching, like these YouTubers who have been in prison and everything else like that, and they've been sharing their stories about what's been going on behind bars and everything. And they, address the situation about the mentally ill being in prison, which is very, very sad, honestly. And it's just like it's just a terribly disgusting trend. So anyway, I mean, because I was taking like a heavy tranquilizer and everything else like that, and I mean, and it's just like some people are on such heavy medication and everything. Some of the medications that the psychotropics that these people are on have horrible, horrible, horrible side effects, and they're not giving anything like either Artane or Cogentin to balance it out. Um, and it's just like, one thing. The last group home I was in, they had me on so much medication, it wasn't funny. They had me on Thorazine and Prolixin, and I had to take a shot of the Prolixin and everything else like that. And I was like put on Cogentin, to counteract the. Plus, I got a lot of allergies anyway, so I ended up being allergic to the Cogentin, which I forgot to tell my doctor about it. It broke out in a pinpoint rash on my neck, so I was given Artane instead. But these these people, who are patients and are at the mercy of these abusive nurses in the mental hospital. I mean, in these mental hospitals that that they, I mean, it is a very difficult subject to talk to, but I'm going to get through it. When they, it's just like you probably heard me say what, before in other videos, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. But, these people were also my abusers. And, especially, like this stupid nurse who had double dosed me. I mean, this didn't happen to me once. It happened to me, a couple times. And, one thing, it's just like, one thing, I mean, it's just like I went to go lay down. Honestly, I was feeling sick as a dog after that. Alhamdulillah, I'm still here, honestly, and and I can tell the tale. I'm still alive to tell the tale. I mean, it's just like, and then, like, like the last time I was in there, I had signed my 5-day release because I like spent like 3 weeks in there and I was ready to get out of there. And, it's just like, and on top of that, the last time I was in there, I had a nervous breakdown because my grandfather had passed away, my paternal grandfather. And then when I got out of there and I went and I got my medicine and everything else like that, I didn't take my medicine. I sit there and I threw it away. I sit there and I lied. I said I was going to take my medicine so I can get out of there. Because, it's just like, one thing. If you tell them you're not going to take your medicine, they ain't going to let you out of there. Even, I doubted even if you did sign that 5-day release. And, it's just like, one day, this same stupid nurse, she had the bright idea, and I wasn't even on aggro mood yet. Okay. And she decided to overrule me and have security brought in and have me put in restraints. And, this is just like, and for me to even go use the bathroom and everything, I had to sit there and holler at the top of my lungs repeatedly for them to sit there and let me out of there so I can go use a bathroom. And, it's just like, one thing. And, it's just like, it's just like, and I gave them a really, really dirty look, honestly. And there, was, some stuff that I had brought in there, and they didn't want to give it to me. When I had left saying it wasn't there and all this other stuff. I said, something, I don't believe you. So I was very assertive and everything. And, they couldn't hold me there anymore because I had signed that 5-day release and, my release date and everything. I went back there, and I sure enough had found my stuff, that they took from me and everything else like that. I mean, because this is just like, honestly, because if they say, they don't have your stuff, you better go back there, because if it's not there, and then that's proof enough someone had sit there and stole your stuff, and it could be somebody from the staff. And when you're like in a place like that, you're not going to get any help at all whatsoever. It's just like you're just being warehoused, and you don't get to talk to a social worker even hardly. And sometimes the social workers are not even helping; they're actually full of crap, honestly. Um, Actually, I wanted to say it like that. I wanted to say a lot worse, but I just, but you know what I'm talking about. Um, but it's just like you know, because I just don't like when it's just like when I feel like my rights has been violated. I mean, just like even like, okay, there's like one lady who was a nurse. Okay, again, not name dropping. Because she lived on the same street that this one lady who um, who I was friends with. Her mother lived on the same street too. Actually, her mother also lived on the kind of like next door to you know um, this woman's mom I was friends with, and I told her I didn't like this doctor, this doctor who was there, honestly, because she can care less about anything, honestly. Um, I mean, it's just like, of course, she was from Romania, but, and believe me, she was not a nice lady. And, and I told her, I said, I don't like Dr. So and so. And she said, Dr. So and so does not, you know, uh, does not like anybody unless they're from DuPage County and they got a lot of money. She hit it right on the money right there. So, I mean, actually, but this nurse, obviously, she was pretty cool with me when I was in there, and it's just like, and actually, because she knew I like Cameo and everything, and and I was talking about Larry Blackman's box cut, fade back in the day, and she thought it was really hot. I wouldn't be surprised maybe if she's going on YouTube and everything, and looking for my videos. I hope she finds this one. Um, Actually, looks like I got some haze. How are you? But some people, it's just like they really have to read every single print on that particular paper that they are given, because this is like like very much Okay. Do, 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 do. My vlog. Hmm. Actually, I had to, adjust a little something so that um, and I just want to see details. Mm, okay, video location Chicago. Anyway, I just, I mean, it's just like I have to say, like, if to these people, who run these places, I want to ask, private or state owned, whatever, if you're in there to help people and everything, why do you abuse these people? That's what I want to know. If, it's just like you're not helping, you're making a profit just by hindering somebody. And, it's just like a lot of these, because, one day I went in there, to visit. I mean, just to visit, that's it. And to see if, if I see a friendly face, still in there. And again, I still seem like the same old conditions where people are actually, that people are actually doped up on these medications. I mean, because I mean, I have to say, like, are you people who sit there and cause a lot of other major health problems by giving an excess amount of these medications? You know, especially these psychiatrists. Don't you have a human life on people instead of being a pill pusher? You want to make people more sick, you know, so you can make more money? You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Then, you know, then why do you sit there and you go to medical school and you take the Hippocratic oath? You are violating that oath. And same thing goes for the nurse who a, a long time ago, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm still very angry with you. I'm very hostile with you about this. And I got every reason in the world to be because you had violated my rights about refusal to take medications. And for giving me going behind another nurse's back because you don't like me. I never did anything to you. And you sit there and you give me more medication on top of the ones that what if I would have died in there? You know, it's just like you would have been you honestly you would have been guilty of my murder because you poisoned me. And for the one who said upon my discharge my stuff was not there, I'm glad I stood up to you and and went back there and got my stuff. I mean, because you know the stuff actually, you know, because when I first got in there, I needed help very badly because I was suicidal. I, you know, had a breakdown and everything else like that. And you know, it's just like, and you know, it's just like, I mean, you know, it's just like, you know, my, you know, and on top of that, you know, it's just like my main abuser was up to her mess as usual. She was playing up on me, and you know, and on top of that, then you know, next, you know, my oldest daughter, then you know, it's just like was living with her and my dad and everything else like that, and they started to turn her completely against me by brainwashing her and everything else like that, telling her I'm no good, blah 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 blah, and all this other stuff. And you know, this is just like oh, if she loved you, she would leave you, and all this other stuff. I mean, but where else could I sit there and please do not judge me because you know, honestly, you know, just you know, and you know, it's just like you know, one thing. I mean, you know, at least you know one thing. I did not abandon my child, okay? And honestly, if I had a place to take her and everything else like that, she would have went right with me. But I was not in a shape. I was not in any shape or condition to take my child with me. And then you know, this is just and when I left, I was homeless. When I left that hospital, I was homeless. And you know, it's just like where was I going to sit there and I was going to take her then? And and you know, it's just like well, I mean, well, you know, it's just like you know, my father who was enabling my main abuser is now being abused himself. But then I think I already either talked about that topic or we'll talk about that on another on another string, hopefully. Um, but I want you to at least, give it a second thought before you go and you judge people about, you know, um, who have, that people like us, we're humans too. I'm not crazy. I got my faculties and everything else like that. I mean, and, I have to say one thing. I mean, it's just like in some of those places you got more sane people in there than you do outside in the streets. And that is a truth. I mean, it's just like, one thing is just like I have to say, like, one thing. Please don't judge the book by its cover. I mean, it's just like, one thing is just like I have been pretty much battling depression and everything else like that from when I was in from when I was about like in high school. So I mean, it's just because, like a lot of times people, was just like, actually, I'm a lot better now. And I'm functioning just fine without my medication. I can do a lot better without it than I can with it. So, anyway, I mean, even though I have my triggers and everything, but what abuse survivor doesn't have their own triggers? I can't find a single one. This is just like myself included. I know what triggers me. And, this is just like, one thing I just want to address this and get this elephant out of the room, which is the state of, the of the which is the situation that's going on, with people who are mentally ill and everything. This is the elephant that's in the room right now. I mean, because I have to say, like, it's just like there's a lot of times, you know, it's just like these people are in a lot of pain, and they are really struggling, and they do need a lot of love and care, just like everybody else. And it's just like, and a lot of people, they need to even from their own families, which is and you got some people like my father. It's completely emotionally bankrupt. Like my father never did get me. And I mean, it's just like, one thing. And it's just like I have to say, like, there's, a long time ago when I, was able to go to the day hospital program in Lutheran General Hospital in Park Ridge, and my mother used to go with me, so, sometimes, and one lady, said, "Oh, we were a couple of bombshells." I mean, like, and my mother, came out then about after the divorce and everything else like that. After that, my father wouldn't allow my mother to see me or anything else like that. She didn't know where I was and everything. And that my father was going to her and extorting money from her. Um, and this is just like it was really horrible. Um, and this is just like I honestly, my father didn't like that I was having contact with my mother from the age of 13 on all the way through, high school and everything. Um, I mean, it's just like, and then my main abuser was saying my mother was brainwashing me and everything else like that. I said, look, I got my own brain and everything else like that. I told her, I said, my mother was not brainwashing me. And I told her flat out on her hospital bed. I mean, this is just like, one thing. I told the heifer straight on her hospital bed when my father took me to see her when she was sick. And, and to come to think of it, my worst abuser was a hypochondriac. And, it's just like, and I mean, and actually, she was like, she was in the psych hospital too. And, it's just because she's done a bunch of crazy things and all this other stuff that got herself in there. And, but anyway, it's just like about my main abuser, it's just like, one thing. Um, Excuse me. Oh, alhamdulillah. She's been dead for like, should I say about like close to 13 years or so? 13 or 14 years, but actually, I still can't stand her. And, it's just like, and she was the main person. That's the reason why I ended up in the situations I had ended up in. And, it's just like, and my father didn't have my best interests at heart either. Um, Sadly. And, I mean, it's just like, it's just like, like when I was a kid and everything else like that, I wanted to escape my problems and everything. It's just like, I mean, because I just wanted to just, I mean, I just didn't want to be bothered with them or anything else like that. Afraid that I was going to go through more abuse and everything else like that. And I mean, it's just like, and then on top of that, when you're like in a mental hospital, it's boring. And it's just like, I mean, because it's just like, and even though some of the workers are rude and they will talk down to you and everything else like that, like you're not even human. I mean, just like, one thing. If just like, one thing. Just like, what it's just like, and on top of that, they don't give pills out at medication time, especially the last one I was in. Um, because a lot of people would spit it out and everything else like that. And they would put this foul tasting liquid in this Kool-Aid, right? And the Kool-Aid was like garbage, and this is just like, and on top of that, the medication tasted horrible. The Kool-Aid wasn't even masking it. And it's just like, and it made the aftertaste even taste a lot worse. And the food was horrible too. So um I mean, there's times I would sit there and just grab the milk off the tray and just drink the milk because I didn't want anything else. Because because it's just like, I didn't have the appetite. Honestly, I looked at the food and I'm just like, this is gross. I said, I said to myself, I said, just grab the milk and drink it. And luckily, the milk was okay, but other than that, it was, and And on top of that, that and if you wanted a cigarette and everything else like that, they had this lighter on the wall. You had to press it or whatever, and then and light your cigarette from there. Because they wasn't going to let you have a lighter or matches, afraid you're going to sit there and burn the place down. And there are some people that would get desperate and will do just that too. Um, and it's just like, I mean, it's just like I have to say, like, one thing. I just want to put this out there, and if you like, uh, press like, um, and leave a comment what you want to see down below, and uh, subscribe, and of course, press the notification bells if you want notifications for for this, and for my videos that goes into your inbox. Um, well, as you can tell, I'm rocking a different type of hijab on today. I mean hijab, I mean niqab, I mean. This one is a little bit more see-through to my liking. Actually, it's chiffon, but you know, um, my sister-in-law sent this to me from Pakistan. Um, right along with this this burqa right here, this outer coat, and actually, it's just like I mean, because I just want to give awareness for what goes on into these places. I'm not doing it for clout or clickbaiting, um, whatever, or anything else like that. I just want to let people know, um, and I don't want to presume to be some kind of clickbait either or whatever, but I just, this is just like I just don't want to think people, inhumanely about people who have a mental illness. Um, I mean, I have to say, like, some people, can overcome it easily when some others can't. And I mean, this is just like I have to say, one lady, and this is like post-op. No, not post-op. This is when I was really it's starting to get sick and everything else like that before I had surgeries, and there's this because I had a brand new um, MP3 player that was kind of like DOA out of the box. It was a Sansa E2, Sandusky E260, and I mean, and and actually I had gotten out online from Circuit City. That was, well, anyway, Best Buy made Circuit City go out of business, and this Circuit City particularly was on North Avenue in Clybourne. No, I'm not changing the subject or anything. Just be patient with me. So I was on the L platform on going waiting for the southbound train to get off at Clark and no, not Clark, North and Clybourne, because because actually I was on the southbound platform on over there by Wilson and Broadway. There's this one lady, and I think I was talking to somebody, and because it was on my phone, and and there's this one lady. I knew she had to be mentally ill and everything, because a lot of them, what they do is they will jump the train and they will commit suicide. Um, I mean, and this is like, I have seen this happen, because I seen like, oh my god, she, like I heard, like, oh my god, she jumped the train, you know, and it was like on the northbound tracks, and it was like, all coming from going to Howard Street, and this lady, I'm like, and I feel really bad, honestly. How come she could not reach out to somebody and get help before she ended it? And so the L train, the whole entire station at that time, that line pretty much was like shut down, so they can remove the woman's body from between those two L cars, and um, then it's just like we was placed on the bus and everything. We didn't have to pay an additional fare, alhamdulillah. Um, and actually was, I think it was like the Broadway bus or something like that. And I got off at North Avenue, so I can go over there by Clybourne and everything else like that, so I can go to that Circuit City and exchange my my MP3 player or possibly get a refund. So actually, the I got on there, and I was so shaken up. I told the bus driver, I said, well, I think he already knew already, but I couldn't help it. But me and other people were talking about it and everything else like that. I said, one lady sit there and she committed suicide. She hopped the she jumped the L train. I mean, it's just like it was. That was very traumatizing for me. I still think about it, because what had happened, and sometimes I can't even get it out of my head. And I mean, like, I have to say, you know, when I had back to, where I, from the beginning, when I told you about when I had left, um, I first I went to a friend of mine, who was a cab driver for, and he was a good friend and everything else like that. He was also a neighbor of mine, and um, I mean, I'm gonna have to say again, not name dropping, but he was a very good friend, and I'm like, man, if you're watching, please, I hope you're doing well. I have not forgotten you, um, or your act of kindness. Thank you. Because he knew my grandfather was sick and everything, and that I was going through changes with my family and everything else like that, and this is just like, and this is just like, and I told him, I said, I'm suicidal, I want to kill myself. That's exactly what I told him. So anyway, that, we went to this McDonald's or something like that, rock and roll McDonald's or something like that. It was downtown, and as I know this dude is a Marine, um, because he's a Marine vet, and also he loves junk food. So um, so actually after that, he got me something to eat and everything, which is really nice of him. And he took me somewhere where I can get some help, and then um, they brought me to this, to this the same mental hospital I'm talking about that was in Hines. Um, it's you know actually it's like in this medical campus and everything. It's like near like the VA hospital, and there's like Loyola over there, and it's just like, so anyway, it's near them places, but I'm not saying the exact same area, but it's very much near like Maywood, and that's the same place I was talking about, and it's just like, I have to say that it's just like, one thing, but I have to say that small act of kindness helped save my life. I mean, thinking about this lady, I'm like, how come she didn't get me help? It's not like I'm on a guilt trip or anything else like that, but I mean, because, like, one thing, if I ever see him again, and inshallah, I would say, I said, this is something very traumatic that I did see. And, after I got to my destination, Circuit City, and I did exchange it for another SanDisk Sansa E260 MP3 player. I've had that for like a few years until that too died. It didn't last long at all. Well, it lasted longer, but but honestly, I have an older model of an iPod Nano and and iPod Shuffle, which actually mine looks like a pack of gum. That's what it looks like. But then um, the older model of my iPod Shuffle, the one that looks like a white stick, and actually my husband got that for me for an early birthday present one year, and that was before I even got sick. And this is just like after I spent time working as a caregiver and everything else like that for this from this horrible agency I used to work for. And I ended up getting the iPod Nano, and then um, like so anyway, and then it's just like then I got on any type of mode of public transportation, maybe it was the bus or something like that, because this is just like I think the L was shut down completely and everything else like that. And what I did is I took the Broadway bus to Terminal, and then took the Devon bus, and well, almost to Terminal. Okay, so then I took the Devon bus, and I didn't go home right away. I went to my husband and husband and oldest brother-in-law's restaurant over there in Morse Avenue over there, and I told them what happened. They felt horrible that I had to witness something like that. And they said, before that, there was like someone over there on the Morse Avenue platform, also a woman jumping jumping the L trains, and she committed a suicide also. I'm like, oh my God, yallah, 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 yallah. I mean, otherwise, I just want to say, the mind is a very fragile thing. Um, and, this is just like, and, you know, I just want to close out this video by saying, please be very careful what you say to other people, because you never know if it may tip somebody over to the edge. Um, I mean, it's just like if you smile at someone, just make sure it's genuine. It's, because a lot of people may have something, may some people can sense, like me, can sense BS a mile away. So I just like I mean it's just like I mean, and like any kind of small act of kindness is appreciated when someone who has got a lot of problems. Um, and it's just like and um, and it shouldn't have any type of string attached to it. Because like if you sit there and do something for somebody, and it's that means you got some ulterior motives, and you're not to be trusted. And and sometimes that would do more harm than good. So I mean, it's just like one thing. So anyway, I just want to, you know, like explain to you something on this note, because especially a lot of people, who are judgmental of others in this situation, it doesn't do any good either. I mean, it's just you need to sit there and learn to walk in each other in other people's shoes, and you know, and and it's just like, and I mean, so anyway, I just cannot express this enough. Um, anyway, I just want to say, um, I mean, I have to say, like, one thing, I mean, because, um, about people with, especially when they have like a disability, or even if they, have a mental illness and everything else like that, and are not within the so-called quote unquote norm, that doesn't mean, you know, you know, they are not human. Okay, they're human. I just want to say this again. They are human, and that is it. And anyway, um, have a good one, and deuces. Assalamu alaikum.